So I guess we just start off with a little bit about us, get to know the Amazon brothers, I guess. When we started, how we started, and our plans for where we're going to take our FBA business.
I agree. So, if you don't know much about us, my name's Caleb. I'm 24 years old and I am one half of the Amazon brothers. Elias beside me is my brother. He's 23 and we are the Amazon brothers. And if we want to take it all the way back to where we started, let's say our entrepreneurial journey, not even Amazon, because Amazon wasn't the first thing we tried. We always knew way back when that we didn't want to just spend our lives working for someone else, doing our day-to-day tasks in a 40-hour-a-week job and getting paid at the end of the month type of thing. So, how old were we? 18, 17 when we first?
I mean, I've known since school, personally. It was like, coming out of school, I always knew that I had work there lined up for me. I was never going to be out of work, but did I always want to work the job? Not necessarily, but I'd say when we collectively came together and decided that we wanted to do something was probably 18.
18, yeah, about 18, maybe 18 hour 19. We first started, when I turned 18, I tried Forex and crypto. Anyway, to cut a long story short, didn't really end very well. Lost all my money and about a year after, we tried
Clothing brand.
Well, we tried a social media marketing agency first before the clothing brand, didn't we? We bought Iman Gadzhi's SMMA course and tried to make that work. It came down to ultimately lack of commitment,
Yeah,
I must say.
definitely.
And after that, then tried our own clothing brand. Shiny object syndrome galore back then. Tried our own clothing brand, quickly ran out of money. Sampling products, got our own heat press. We were like DTF thermal printing our own logos onto the t-shirts. Anyway, it just weren't what we thought it were going to be. And then nearly 3 years ago now, we stumbled across Amazon FBA. Stumbled across a bright little fellow who was promoting himself on Instagram, doing retail arbitrage. Anyway, I bought his course for 50 quid a month and got stuck in, to be honest. Got stuck into retail arbitrage, and within quite a few people may already know this by now, but within our first 2 to 3 months of doing Amazon, from selling our first product, we did about 25 to 30k net profit, driving to every single Sainsbury's in the UK, picking up this one product that was on a nationwide clearance. Brita water filters. For those who are in the Amazon game, you will know that. And yeah, absolutely crushed it with RA. Felt like we completed it. We were like, oh my days, all we need to do now is just find another product like this and scale it like we did. Ring up every single physical store that had it and go and pick them all up. But anyway, we quickly realised that RA wasn't that. Anyway.
We're just gold dust. It were like, there were a product there, it were on a crazy deal, and there were only a finite amount of it. And I guess it took quite some time for us to realise that after this golden product, there's not going to be one lined up. There probably is one out there, but to just stumble across it and then go and clear out the full nation of said product and make a killing on it, it seemed unrealistic. So yeah, after we absolutely creamed it off Brita water filters, it were straight back to square one. And it were, right, we've got a good chunk of money now, but how are we going to put this to work? And I guess going through what we went through, it was the ultimate proof of concept that we could make 30k profit in a month if we knew the right things. So it was like, okay, what do we do? And yeah, like Caleb said, stumbled across someone, ended up investing into their mentorship. And to be honest, it taught us the basics of what we needed to know to get our feet off the ground. And we did exactly that. And I guess from there on out, after we got told how to create an email template, we got told how to write after we got told how to create an email template, design our own website and a little bit of outreach, we were just set free, and it was like, you need to go and find your own way now. So yeah, we did that, and here we are. Now making between 20 and 30k profit a month. But it were all down to that proof of concept of finding the Brita water filters, realising that we can actually do this month on month, and just stuck to it.
It were probably 3 months, maybe, no, it was probably a month of direct outreach before we landed our first brand direct deal. And it paid off. It paid off really well, and it finally felt like it was working after doing retail arbitrage and having so much success with it. Whereas this time, as many of you know, existing sellers, people who are just getting into Amazon, the 150% ROIs aren't everywhere. And so we were going back into brand direct, touching between like 30 to 60% ROIs, and it was like, wow, still good. But it definitely wasn't what we expected, and it required a lot more effort than what RA seemingly took. Like that's the thing, when we had our RA journey and we were picking up all these Britas across the country, it didn't really feel like work. It felt easy, to be honest, and it was. We just saw the opportunity and seized it. Like, yeah, we were ringing up every Sainsbury's in the UK, but I don't know whether that's just in hindsight compared to the amount of work that we put in now. But back then, it felt easy, didn't it? We were traveling the country in our dad's van that we rented. We were driving down to Swansea and Cardiff. Felt easy.
Well, we weren't sat behind a laptop, were we? We were just driving. We were getting paid to drive, and let's be honest, who doesn't love driving? If you're getting paid for it, it's not like you're working for someone else in a HGV driving it along a lorry. You're literally travelling with your brother, your best mate, your business partner, going and picking up profit throughout the country. Now, RA now is a little bit different, especially as a newcomer. Ungate's pretty challenging off the bat. You know, if you go into a clearance section, you might find 10 different brands there, and if you've got to get ungated on those 10 different brands, you're going to be into a lot of money. Whereas you get ungated on one brand now, and then you can find 10 different products within that brand. So I wouldn't point people down the route of starting RA, but this is just our story, and this is just how it's worked out for us. But oh, it was great, unbelievable.
RA had almost like that inner adventurous like spirit that we've got within us. It were kind of like you're turning up to Smith's and you don't know what's in that clearance section, but you're just hoping that you've found an absolute banger in there, or that there is one.
WWE figures, Barbies, Minecraft books, 5 Nights at Freddy's toys. It were literally anything that made the tiniest bit of profit. We were there for it. We were travelling from Burnley to Blackburn to Manchester, Blackpool, Liverpool. These were just on our weekends off. It were like, okay, we've found something. We found a vehicle that's allowing us to make money. So let's just hammer it. And I guess that's the level of dedication that you've got to be willing to put in. It's like in every spare moment of our time, we were just prepared to push it all into this business, which we did, and we still do. But yeah, RA is kind of complete now. Where did we go from there? We went back to zero.
We literally went back to zero. We tried. It's quite funny because we can look back on our months on our profit tracking software, and you can see where it basically went from like a 50k revenue month with a 45% margin. It did like 20k profit, and then it went back down to like a 1k month revenue. We ended up making like 100 quid profit. And we were trying RA again. We were going back round our same circle, going to Smith's, Boots, B&M, Sainsbury's, Tesco's, Asda, all them. We ended up making a route round Manchester. It took us like 8 hours. Anyway, found absolutely nothing. Nothing compared to what we just saw with Brita, which was ridiculous, because the listing was selling 20,000 times a month. You would literally, the stock wouldn't even need to go available, and it was already selling. You were already making profit. It was ridiculous. So we tried RA after Brita, and once we come to the realization that RA wasn't going to work anymore, like we mentioned earlier, we basically pivoted into brand direct wholesale. because we was essentially doing wholesale with RA, weren't
Yeah, yeah.
we? We were like, look, we need to pick up as many units as possible. We weren't negotiating price because you can't really do that when it's discounted like 70% from RRP. And yeah, first brand I went to with brand direct wholesale was Brita. And yeah, we never actually got the account straight away, but we basically went on a brand direct wholesale spree, on an outreach spree for the next 8 months, and ended up building wholesale up to around, it was around 5k net profit,
No,
wasn't it?
yeah,
Mark. And then we did, like I mentioned, we did that for about 8 months, and we kept seeing this guy who was doing online arbitrage. We kept seeing him pop up, and he was doing crazy figures at the time. He was still doing 30k profit months net, and we thought, why not give this a crack? And we wanted to pivot into high ticket OA, high ticket A to A this whole time. We'd been seeing it, seeing glimpses of it. Bearing in mind, we were still self-prepping everything at this point. Me and Elias were literally finishing work. I'd get home for 5 o'clock. I'd be in the unit till 2 a.m, polybagging, labeling, loads of bullshit. And we saw high ticket OA and A to A as this kind of escape out of the dungeon, which we used to call our unit the dungeon. Still is the dungeon, to be fair. But we'd be in there labeling for hours and hours. And we thought, wow, instead of labeling 200 units to get the same profit as we could selling one PlayStation, for example.
It were also the thing of like going back to RA, after we completed that journey, we realised that it weren't sustainable because it's all about digital income. Like the whole point in us starting this was to be able to be at places like this and get paid. And we knew that starting RA, we'd never be able to achieve something like this and continue doing it. But yeah, it's like you were saying with the units there, if we had to label 200 units to make X amount of profit, and then prep centres came into the mix and we wanted to outsource prep, but we're only making £1 profit per unit and a prep fee was 50p per unit, it's kind of unrealistic to outsource unless you were to bring it in-house. Whereas starting high ticket online arbitrage kind of allowed us to then outsource the prep, because if you're making 10, 20, 30 quid profit per unit, even if it's £1 to label that product, what's £1 on your profit? It's 1/30th of it. So yeah, that then allowed us to outsource prep, which, yeah, game changer.
Another massive thing in our pivot to high ticket OA and A to A as well was the fact that me and Elias had already been VAT registered at this stage, and it was quite comical. Well, it is still comical looking back on it. Basically, on the 7th of December, we thought that we had a 25k VAT bill to pay. So we'd been saving up this whole time because we completely miscalculated it all. And anyway, about 2 weeks before that, our accountant says, no, you're actually going to get paid like 3k off HMRC. You're going to get a VAT reimbursement because you're buying more than you're spending. And so me and Elias had about 25 to 30k sat in the business bank account. And yeah, Black Friday was in about 2 days. And we kind of saw the opportunity, I guess, kind of like seeing, everything line up with Brita. We thought, oh my days, Black Friday is here. This is like the best opportunity ever to now pivot completely from wholesale into high ticket OA, A to A, and really make it work, because we'd always wondered, especially seeing the listings that had been selling like less than 50 times a month, we'd never delved into any of that. And those who are existing Amazon sellers will understand this, especially if you're in wholesale at the minute. But if a product didn't say 50 plus bought, even 100 or 200 plus bought in the past month, me and Elias would completely avoid it, because we were used to that wholesale, low ticket, you have to buy something that is going to sell. However, when it's something that's going to make you 250 quid profit, let's say, and it's only selling maybe 5 to 10 times a month, I was then able to realize that I'm actually willing to sacrifice the high sales for the lower sales when it's going to generate me way more profit than what the lower tickets would. And we'd always thought, yeah, maybe if we buy one here and there, we might be waiting a while to sell it. But because we had now this massive lump sum of cash, yeah, we basically thought, well, if we buy 100 of these type of products, you know, we're guaranteed to be pretty much at least selling 1 a day or 2 a day, and we'll be able to make it work. And yeah, basically Black Friday hit. It was the last week of November, and we spent all 30k in one night, or across 2 days, but we spent most of it on the Black Friday night. And then December, we rolled into December after that. We were selling the rest of our wholesale stock. I think we hit like a 50k revenue month, and it might have only been maybe 4 to 5k net profit. And then January hit, and we basically, throughout January, everything went back up in price, as you can imagine, after Christmas. And there was so much opportunity throughout Q4 that we picked up so many good products. And yeah, we finished January on around 120k revenue with about 14k profit.
16.
And 16k
I
profit.
remember it well.
Yeah, and we tripled our profit over the course of 60 days, completely transitioning from wholesale to OA and A2A, and it was amazing, to be fair. It was almost like proof of concept hit so well. And yeah, especially, I forgot to mention as well, throughout that time, throughout the transition into OA and A2A, we now realise that we can actually now use our Amex. Those who are in wholesale will know that most of wholesale, most of brand direct, it's all bank transfer. So you never get a chance to use an Amex. And yeah, basically completely rinsed Amex, hit spending limits, paid it off, hit spending limits again, paid it off, hit spending limits, absolutely creamed it. And yeah, we were then able to leverage another, let's say, 30k credit over the course of 60 days. And it allowed us to buy more, which allowed us to sell more. And yeah, it absolutely was a generational run, I can't lie. And,
yeah, and to put a time scale on it as well, it's like we started in July of 2023. Come December 2023, that's when we'd done our Brita journey, it had ran out, and then from January straight into wholesale. And then that year, November, Black Friday, that's when we made the transition. So we'd been in wholesale for a good 11 months, and then boom, straight into high ticket OA, and the graph just went like that, up, 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 and then it just went boom. So in January, you've got to remember the January before that, this is when we were just starting wholesale. So the sales was literally maybe 600 quid that month in January, compared to the 600 quid, compared to 2025 January, which was 120 quid. So you've got to remember, so January 2024, we'd literally done like 600 quid in sales, as opposed to 2025 January, we'd done 120k, 16k in profit. So we'd seen the proof of concept, boom, 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 coming along with wholesale. And then as soon as we'd transitioned into online arbitrage and A2A, the graph just spiked crazy. And ever since then, it's been crazy. I mean, our lowest month last year was 80k in revenue, 12k in profit, which is just insane. We now consider that a bad month. But yeah, where do you think we can take this?
Amazon as a business model, with Amazon FBA, if you're pairing, I genuinely believe if you're pairing OA, A2A, wholesale and brand direct, if you're comparing all the 4 main models within Amazon, I genuinely don't think there is a ceiling. I think the only ceiling is the capital that you'd genuinely be able to buy, that you'd be able to obtain to then buy more leads. Yeah. And obviously you churning over more profit within that, you're going to create more capital. But I mean, I don't even know how much revenue goes through Amazon per week, but I know it's a lot. I know it's a hell of a lot.
Well, let's say if you were to do 250k profit in a month, and you were working on a 25% ROI, you'd need $1 million liquid to then dispose on stock. That's then going to bring you that money in. So that's bearing in mind that you sell absolutely everything within that 30-day period as well. So yeah, I think 250k a month's doable with this business model. If you know the right people, if you're in bed with the right companies, it's definitely doable. But yeah, like Caleb said, it's just having the money. But you build up to that. We started with 1,300 quid. We've now got, I'm not going to put a number on it, but we've got a good amount of money in the business now. And it's all about the compound effect. It's not how much you start with, it's where you can get to with this business model. It's a guarantee that it's going to work. So if someone came to you and give you a guarantee of, look, I've got a proven business model that can take you to these sort of numbers, you'd snap it up straight away. But it's only a guarantee if you're actually going to put work into it. If you're fully committed to it, you're fully dedicated, then you can make it work.
What slice of the pie would you have to take from Amazon's revenue for you to actually be comfortable with that as well? Because it is, in my opinion, it is genuinely not necessarily easy. You've got a lot of hard work to put in at the start. You're on an uphill battle, as you are with any business model when you begin. But you can get this business model, as we've proven it, to a stage where you can basically just do what you want. And don't get me wrong, me and Elias still work a hell of a lot, and we still put in the 12-hour days because we're constantly chasing the next level as well. And that it's something that you probably may not understand right now, especially, I don't know what you do in your day-to-day, maybe if you are at a 9 to 5 or you're doing whatever, but once you start your business, once you start really making it, once you start seeing the numbers, you are constantly chasing something. You know, whether it be freedom, whether it be the next milestone, whether it be that next new supplier, whether it be something like this for you to buy for yourself and you and the family can come out 3, 4, 5, 6 times a year. But if I was to say to you as a viewer, for example, I would ask, what would you rather be doing? Would you rather be chasing constant improvement within your own life, within your own business? You know, because it doesn't just stop with the business. You know, I still turn up to the gym every day. I still try to eat the best as I can. I still try to improve my mind. I try to read. I try to become more meticulous in the way I say things. And yeah, my question to you would be, what would you rather have, that, or would you rather be in the same stagnant pond that, you know, the next 5 to 10 years you may still be in, because you may not be working towards anything or striving towards your goals or striving towards greatness or something else. But yeah, I think we wrap it up at that. And yeah, if you'd like to see more content like this, hit subscribe, hit a like, let us know down below, give us some feedback. And yeah, so like I say, we're always after improving things. So yeah, stay in touch, and it's been a pleasure.